Most understated video game movie title card I've ever seen. Understated enough to get a win. Hinting to anyone aware of Pikachu's electricity-based powers that maybe he had something to do with that electrical short. Look, I don't know a lot about Pokemon, but Mewtwo looks real, and this chase scene is shot thrillingly, especially for a video game movie. About halfway through the movie, I thought to myself, I bet we won't be surprised by the composer since the music stirs even my unacquainted soul. And lo and behold, it's always a Win composer, Henry Jackman. There's a warmth and nostalgia that calls back to 8-bit games even if you've never played them.
This is what I'm talking about. My heart is pounding.
Little validation for your Pokemon Go addiction.
Tell me you didn't plan this.
Serious? How dare you? Okay, maybe.
Not only has Dopinder been faking his accent all along, his attempt to get Tim to partner with Cubone, while logical, is ice cold. Way to remind him that his mom's dead. It's a win because he's still making the connection.
Not everyone can pull off wearing the skull of their dead relative, but you sure can.
Sweet talking.
Obnoxious choice!
Even if you don't know a single thing about Pokemon, you get the feeling that relative size isn't all that important, and if you do know some stuff, you're smiling at a Gen 1 Pokemon making your decades of knowledge feel validated. Argas shadowing, Parade shadowing, and Ryan Reynolds and a Pikachu shadowing.
Please don't.
Making new friends.
Early humans used to catch them.
Early humans like 90s kids with the DS. Even I recognize red. Score is fantastic. Has a very Eastern tone that blends really well with this city that clearly has both Eastern and Western influences, paying homage to Pokemon's past. Even the Pokemon are suited to some specialized jobs. Machamp can't legally fight in rhyme, but his forearms allow him to not only direct traffic, but clearly play the flute, since Snorlax is mostly not blocking the road. Bancham's huge head, small body reveal. Golurk. Even if it only means something to a fraction of the audience, they put real time and energy into making it look awesome and present in the space.
Hi, Tim.
Man, I love Ken Watanabe. Just a facial expression change conveys so much. I already did Godzilla and Inception, but I was gun-shy about just throwing around the always a win-win. He deserves it, even in a movie he's barely in.
He loved you more than anything else in the world.
It was nice to meet you.
Cliché dodge, I'd say. Usually a great space where writers who trust their audiences less would throw in a, yeah, well, he could have shown it by being around from Tim. Instead, Tim reminds Yoshida that while his words are nice, they just met and he's not about to get into it with a stranger. You sure Snubbull isn't really in that room? There he is reflected in the TV. Because when it comes to eating donuts by a Pokemon, why not? Noctowl would be the Pokemon associated with a 24-hour cafe.
Stories like this spread fear, and they're afraid of fear. But I don't fear fear. I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and that's the hard truth.
Lucy walked right out of an anime with her fast-talking nonsense, fixation on pink, and ribbons in her hair.
Yeah, newsflash, they're all cute.
Hello?
It's me, Snakes.
Snakes. I don't know no snakes. Also, clearly the Home Alone reboot and Pikachu are the real shared universe here.
Still with the old detective movies.
And seriously, if Tim doesn't know that's not a real movie, it is in his universe. I'm just saying Tim and Kevin Take the Town is a story I want told. Also, the question on everyone's mind that needs answering, what kind of Pokemon would Macaulay Culkin partner with? The way the neon shifts to purple as he picks up the purple Argas. Ha! Leaving town. Nice. Pikachu's claws gouge the desk as he climbs up.
I know you can't understand me.
The cuteness overload combined with Ryan's voice is so confusing. Mind blending them. Ryan Reynolds will forever be a cute, fuzzy little yellow guy in my head now. It's gonna get weird next time I see him shish kebab guy.
That is heavy eye contact right there. You heard me.
So true that you can tell if someone understands you just by the intensity of eye contact. Leave it to Pikachu to unveil a universal truth I'd never considered.
Come on, kid! Let's move!
Pikachu is just instinctively protective of Tim and calls him kid. More hints as to who's in there. Gate kick censoring. The detail and expressiveness in Pikachu's face. While we're at it, the fur and lighting and interactivity with his paws and the pavement. The shallow focus making his tail blurry.
Right, you can hear him talking.
Fun fact, Pikachu's voice actor Ikue Otani from lots of the games and shows voices Pokemon voice.
It's adorable.
You're adorable.
Pika flirting.
Unless you want Johnny Law to give you a one-way ticket to the Who Scout.
That feeling when you look up a word expecting it to be lore and it's just North American slang, I guess? Probably doesn't really qualify as a vocab. This world feels so lived in and real that you stop noticing the Pokemon just standing around. Pokemon cooking, all the little background noise of Pokemon and humans living in harmony. Jigglypuff used Sing, and it was super effective. Or he's passed out. Works either way.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. This menu looks really nice.
Yeah, acknowledge that it's going to seem like he's talking to himself for the rest of the movie, and then lampshade it with him using the phone. But then just let it go. Everyone else would. You only stare at the weirdo the first time you notice. It's actually realistic. Giving away the whole twist there, movie.
I'm sorry, can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Ha, because his ears aren't big enough. Also, it makes sense that Harry would choose Pikachu as a partner since it was clearly Tim's favorite when he wanted to be a trainer.
Coward.
Did you hear that sound?
Sorry, it's piping hot. Oh, sweet mother of Arceus.
I believe Arceus is like a god figure in the Pokemon universe, so that checks out as an apropos idiom.
Serenity now. Serenity now.
So is Pikachu or Harry the Seinfeld fan? Hashtag the real questions.
I'm actually pretty good at being alone at night.
Humility? Wait.
Nope, that did not land right at all.
Yeah, that. Ryan Reynolds makes winning his movies difficult regardless of who he's playing.
My problem is that I push people away and then hate them for leaving.
Again, trying to give the story away since that's pretty much what Harry did to Tim.
I'm in your space now, right?
Even the sound is muffled as if on the other side of the wall.
That went dark fast. I like this very much.
I love that even though it went dark, Mr. Mime can't help himself but play along and use his powers to make everything Tim is doing real. I mean, I get that it's real to him either way, but he's the mime. He can dictate how things go. But someone participating in his world and obeying the laws of his universe is more important to him. Good stuff.
Maybe there's a little detective in you after all.
Haha, and video game rules means mostly no consequences. This is how you have a goofy scene in a grounded, realistic-ish world. Just move along. I know this is just credit to the Pokemon franchise in general, but Loudred beatboxing with ears for speakers? Come on! Diplo just playing himself. Smart play to find a way to sneak in battles when your film's location has outlawed them. And the visualization of the battle is stellar. 8-bit sprites coming to life. Dittos have transformed into humans in the past, I think, and since they take the powers of their enemies, it actually checks out that a Ditto could text since it's a human power? Is that the missing Sneasel from the poster? Just can't kick his battle addiction? Pika Pika! I thought they convinced Ryan to do one. Ooh, brutal messing with Charizard's tail flame. And the heat waves from Charizard's tail. Angry Henry Jackman through angry Loudreds. Saving a new little buddy. Gyarados clearly used Intimidate, which, like, does it even have to be an ability when it doesn't even fit in the frame? Man, Pikachu is a wife win. Have I not mentioned that?
Should have gotten on that train.
What's that, kid?
That feeling when you realize he's actually telling his father that? People give Justice Smith a hard time after Jurassic World, but just remember that more than just a performance goes into how a character is portrayed and perceived. Kid's got talent.
I really wish I'd gotten on that train.
Well, that's a bad guy, Carl.
Knowing you're in a movie. Maybe Deadpool's in there after all. I'll be honest, not being familiar with Ditto should have been no excuse for not realizing the pink-haired, pink-eyebrowed, pink-gloved assistant wearing sunglasses at night no less was Ditto.
What a blabbermouth.
The clues were everywhere.
Sup?
Politeness. Does Harry know a heptapod? It's actually most likely an Enso from Zen, which is about freeing the mind from the body. Yeah.
I've invested in ways of bringing the world to me.
You mean you stole a holodeck from the Enterprise? Don't lie.
Where are we going?
I don't know, I'm just going. You gotta tell me where. You're the detective.
The chemistry between these two carries the movie, and finding out that it's partially because they're related makes it all feel so sweet in the end.
Spilled a cappuccino in his lap.
Well, that sounds like a waste of coffee.
Character continuity.
This is very exciting. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Enthusiasm.
I think you just peed a little.
So,
Oh, no, that's me.
Actually, I have a complaint, and it's that Henry's score is not used enough and is buried too quickly. Get it? It's a compliment. Wouldn't care if the score wasn't phenomenal.
Weigh in on the long-term psychological effects of being strapped into a baby seat next to a bomb. Huh?
Part of me was hoping they wouldn't even mention the baby seat, but this is good too. Okay, that's just an unnecessary, super fun camera spin shot. One of those shots that took planning and timing and probably a few takes just for a split second of fun. It's fun.
You can stay up there.
Based on the relationship building between Pikachu and Tim, I'd bet money that they actually mapped out their entire friendship, probably storyboarded it prior to locking the script, because it's one of the most believable buddy cop friendships to come together. A lot of the time in this situation, they end up rushing it at the end so they can force every last bit of comedy out of the conflict.
Smell my finger. I will never smell your finger. Coward.
They look normal size to me.
But how big will they go to pay that off? That's the question you're all asking now. Wait, did this just become Empire? Yoda's ears grew a little bigger? Attention to detail with Psyduck's pupils shrinking to pinpricks as he sees the Greninjas. That's super cool. It's actually not exactly holodeck tech since they interact as if it's somewhat physical matter, but realigns itself like light particles. Smart hologram recording tech knows when things are happening too fast and uses super slow-mo.
It escaped nearly 20 years ago from the Kanto region.
Smart to not cancel previous Mewtwo lore and even reference Pokemon the first movie, which was just about 20 years ago. Nothing is ever too scary from at least these Pokemon, but the visuals are on point. Just the fact that the Greninjas look so present makes it unnerving. Psyduck's attack worked on the Dark-type Greninjas. Must have protein. I mean, they've been using water attacks. Checks out.
How can you not believe in climate change?
Upsetting both deniers and believers with one line. Unless... is climate change actually just Torterra Gardens moving around? Look, the physics of this scene are... Look, so here's the thing. Look. Okay, that aside, I was a little confused by the Inception landslide folding, so I think what's happening is that when the Torterra Garden stands up, the ground next to it is being picked up vertically, either from hanging off the edge of the Torterra Garden or like being pried up like two tectonic plates colliding. And regardless of physics, these are epic shots and a fun idea to put on screen as the final manipulated evolution of the Torterra Garden. Well, survive all that insanity, but Pikachu is weak to ground. Wet Pikachu is still cute Pikachu.
Did you just call me a partner? Yeah, of course, you're my partner.
There it is. Has there been a more fulfilling friendship in the last couple months? I don't know, and I refuse to qualify or quantify this. It's good. Okay, throw another wife win up there. Bulbasaurs are my new tiny buddies. Mewtwo even dried him off, like a free vacuum with a car wash. We could use a quick brushing. It's not a perfect image, but those look like Ditto's eyes, which, I mean, they should be, but they'd be forgiven for not bothering with 2.5 frames.
Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me.
Okay, even I, the Poké-layman, know a banger when I hear one.
Howard would have seen this in his hologram.
Finally, some top-notch connecting dots, drawing conclusions, solving a mystery, and Detective Pikachu detectiving. Detecting. No, detectiving.
Had no choice. He cracked the art of the battles, traced it back to Dr. Laurent.
Blend of Bill Nighy's voice with the two other voices of Mewtwo, one female, Rina Hoshino, and other male, Kotaro Watanabe, which really makes you uneasy and adds to the otherworldliness of Mewtwo.
Transfer the soul of a human as long as the Pokemon are in a crazed state.
One last misdirect on the big twist, though I assume most of you were at least considering it at this point. Pikachu wasn't in a crazed state after the accident, so if Howard is right, but I really just see this as evidence that Howard has no clue how Mewtwo's power works. The gas was created from Mewtwo, so it made sense from Howard's perspective, but may have been totally unnecessary. At best, I'd say it made the Pokemon mindless so they wouldn't resist. And we find out in the end that Pikachu gave up his free will to save Harry. So there's that too. Man, all these Pokemon really need to get out.
Psyduck.
Again, Psy Lucy still sounding like Psyduck is proof that Tim was the only human that could understand Pikachu. It's a perception thing. Who knows what Pikachu hears from Psy Lucy? All we need to know are his responses. If I were a Pokemon expert, I'd probably make a joke about how it's too bad that there weren't some real Gengar hiding in the balloon, or better yet, some Haunters, since they can be in gaseous form, slip through the walls, and take out Mewtwo. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert. Finally, Pikachu is finally Pikachuing. Last few memory reboots must have reminded him how to use his powers again. They took a Pokemon battle, threw in a little Man of Steel, a touch of Warcraft, and, I don't know, some cable guy? A father replaced his son with a Pokemon. That's evil. Whoa, no, that's evil. Kill it with fire.
Don't breathe the gas!
You breathed the gas, didn't you?
So at this point, you might be thinking, Pikachu has been around the Argas quite a bit and never gone rabid. Even if he doesn't know he's immune, which is why he holds his breath, it makes sense that being blended with a human already would stop the effects. Once all the Pokemon are joined with humans on the streets, they stop raging, only transforming into what's necessary. It's like a conservation of matter, no, energy win?
Tim said Volt Tackle's my best move.
Pikachu trusting Tim's advice from earlier and giving us another amazing live-action interpretation. A visual step up even from the anime.
That was one of my mother's genetic experiments!
Just in case anyone wants to question Ditto's canon abilities. Fair play. Fastest elevator ever.
The father you have been looking for has been with you all along.
You want me to look in a pool of water now? Yeah, he's in me. I hated it from Rafiki, and I hit. Oh, that's better. And one more sort of hand-wavy thing, but Mewtwo's power seems pretty limitless. So if Harry's body was damaged, it's not too much of a stretch to say he would need Tim's DNA to repair it. That's why he needed Pikachu to bring the sun.
With the sun's return, I can repair the father.
Hugging. You're seriously not gonna hug Chewy? I mean Pikachu? Now that the decrepit old man is out of Pikachu, Pikachu moves like his normal self again, which was something that actually lended to making the twist work, by the way. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think of Ryan Reynolds as old enough to have a 21-year-old son, but he absolutely is. Some different art styles from animes and game credits. Even Pokemonizing all the humans. Nice touch to end on. Ah, there's your full tilt title card. I'm a little jealous. I missed the Pokemon craze by a few years. I was already in high school when it blew up in the US. Though there seem to be people my age deep into it. I don't know. But I feel like a guy standing out in the snow looking in through the window at all you fanatical Pokemon lovers warming yourself by Charizard's tail fire. The biggest thing I've learned through my research is that Pokemon fans are some devoted sweetie pies mostly. I'm sure you have your toxic members, as every fandom does, but goodness, even on Reddit and in YouTube comment sections, everyone seems so excited to get a live-action Pokemon movie. To the point that people bring up issues and then always finish with, but it doesn't matter, I want more. Even though I have zero nostalgia for anything Pokemon, I can relate. And it seems like a lot of you got the warm fuzzies from this movie. Good stuff. Good fan base. Happy for you peeps. Happy to dip my toe in like this. Anyway, besides my failure at getting the 60-second review done while the movie was still in theaters for a Patreon request, I knew I needed to do this video once I saw the movie. The twist at the end is a good way to allow the movie to cheat some of the world's rules and still keep true to its legacy. And for the most part, they didn't cheat, even hinting to it a lot throughout.
Did they find a body?
I like to think it would be impossible for me to forget that my dad sounds like Deadpool, but hey, some people say that I sound like Ryan Reynolds, so what are you gonna do? The easiest explanation is that he hadn't seen or heard him in over a decade. But I like to think that Tim's ears were actually hearing the same Pika Pika that everyone else was hearing. Like that's the pitch, tone, and cadence. But he was able to understand him because of the father-son connection. And Rob Letterman actually said something similar. I see it more as Ryan's voices for the audience. And it's easy to buy that Tim wouldn't recognize his father's personality either way, since they lost touch. So, are video game movies saved? Well, Pokemon is a little bit of a different beast. It's kind of like saying that if they made a Knights of the Old Republic movie or a Force Unleashed movie that it would be a good video game movie. It's Star Wars first. Pokemon has lore and anime and games that go back decades. The design of these characters was set and locked before a script was written, guaranteed. Obviously they still had to live actionize them, but you get my point. The story is similar to the game it's based on, so I'm still willing to call it a video game movie, but it's not like Call of Duty or Minecraft can just copy-paste the Detective Pikachu formula. Yeah, and especially now that Rob McElhenney has dropped out of Minecraft. So, anyway, good video game movie with an asterisk. Regardless, we got crazy levels of detail from the movies, shows, and games. Mr. Mime's kickball shoulders, all the posters that sneak a lot of Pokemon into the movie that aren't walking around Rhyme, the shirts Tim wears with different unknown forms, the Squirtle Squad, Tim's trading cards, the statues of Palkia, Dialga, and Arceus, dancing Pokemon in the background of the underground battle gym, a little coffee dripping off of Pikachu's fuzzy upper lip. It goes on, and they jam-packed this movie with little nods. They created a world that seamlessly integrated Pokemon and humans. And goodness, the amazing score that pops up now.
Get off him, whack job!
But I'm proof that you don't need to be an expert to enjoy this movie and universe. A big reason for that is Ryan proving he doesn't need vulgarity to be hilarious. Well, slight edge.
Yes, I've talked to women before. No, I don't need your help.
Was it during the birth canal?
What are you doing?
I can't do it when people are watching.
But most of what he says will at least get you to chuckle. Justice Smith was great, all the supporting cast held the movie together. Catherine Newton was the only one who sometimes felt like she was in a different movie, and she's totally normal in Big Little Lies, so it was definitely direction she was given. It works to kind of blend the anime inspiration with the detective noir tone, so whatever, it's evidence that she's talented. I know they were trying to make a self-contained story with no sequel bait, and I think that's fantastic, but we might all roll our eyes when they come up with some contrived reason for Ryan Reynolds to be sucked back into Pikachu at the beginning of Detective Pikachu 2. WB is itchy for an interconnected universe, and creating a solid standalone movie is, surprise surprise, the best way to do it. Clearly, a huge theme in this movie is evolution, as it is in all Pokemon media. Bad guy Howard tries to force a human evolution by messing with Pokemon evolution. But the more important evolution is Tim's journey and transformation from a kid who wants nothing to do with Pokemon or his father learning to love both. And that relationship is so central, even if you don't realize it's what's happening the first time through. We get to see Harry's evolution as well, through Pikachu relearning things about himself and how he failed Tim. There are 2 love stories in this movie, well, technically 3 if Pikachu and Harry created a new being, but between Lucy and Tim and Harry and Tim, the writers held it all together really well. Lucy and Tim still have space to grow, but there's a full arc for Pika, Harry, and Tim. I'm really curious to see where they go from here if they decide to make another. Well, I'm back, and it feels so good. I have to say sorry to Space Jawa, my very loyal patron. I just didn't get to see Detective Pikachu in theaters, and then it didn't seem to make sense once it was out.
That last one doesn't work
No.
at all.
No, it doesn't.
Hopefully this video will suffice. Thanks for your support. Thank you to all my patrons. You guys are the bomb. Immediately wishing I hadn't called you that. Next week, another new one, but the week after that, an older one, and then a mix for the rest of the year, as is the way that I usually do things.
That's a twist. That's very twisty.
Come on, he thinks he's getting away. Let's quick. Get in front of him. Cut him off. You can make it.
Oh, no. He's going down hard, Tim. Should have worn a helmet. I hope he makes it.